My name is
Yes.
Shin Kim, and I work for National Institute of Fisheries Science. Today, I will introduce about sustainable aquaculture research in future by NIFS Korea. And the content is four separated were introduced over this time. And first time, and present state of Korean aquaculture. And you can see that is the total production of the fishery itself. Red line is the total production volume, and then in the bio in the catcher, I'm sorry, in aquaculture production, and the other one is the capture about uh, and this line. You can see all of the production, the volume increases every year. But in the capture volume, and in these times it decreases. But aquaculture production is in these days the increases every year. Very important industry in Korea, the aquaculture. And then, and the next slide is the history of aquaculture, Korea. And the Korean aquaculture first time with development the seaweed culture that is in 1916 and 17. After that, we production as a technology for shellfish culture and look like oyster and abalones. That is 1980s. And then next time is with development of technology for pimpy culture in 1990s. In these times, the wheel were tries some high technology integrate aquaculture management to smart aquaculture. And next slide with the character of each is the Korean oceans. We have three sea that first time East Sea and South Sea and the West Sea, and each is the character differences. First time East Sea, very simple coastline, and the deep sea and the sand bed. And the South Sea, that is the complex coastline and the many islands and bays, and the sand and the mud mad. Then all of the aquaculture production of 17% is produced in South Sea. And then West Sea is a well-developed tide land, and the big difference between the rise and the fall of the tide. And that is a three sea is different character. And next slide is main culture species of each is sea. And East Sea is usually is a very cold water area, so we'll aquaculture species is scallop, or soft crab, or starling powder. And then next is the South Sea, and the very a lot of species, a lot of production of aquaculture. And the most important is the olive powder and the black lobfishes, albany, and the label, sea skirt, and the red sea bream, sea mussel, and many crab. And after it, the West Sea is usually aquaculture, the shrimp species, and the Manila crab. And then the next is aquaculture method in Korea. We have a lot of species aquaculture, but today I will introduce the very important species as the fish or abalone and the labor. And the first one is important in the species olive powder. And that is usually a system, the culture system is the tank culture in land. Some area have a naked pan, and the productive capacity of 21 kilogram per square meter. And then, I'm sorry, and then every year about 2020 and 43,000 metric tons in per year. And then it's very important because it's only just 1 or 1.5 year we can make it market size. Yeah, this is the olive powder farming, and then inland scale tank and the aquaculture facilities. And next time I will show you black rockfish, Korean black rockfish. So usually this species aquaculture system is a net cage pen and the embanking system. Productive capacity is 400 metric ton per uh, kilo. I'm sorry, this is the mistake. Yeah, the kilometer square kilometer. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not kilogram. Ton per square kilometer. Ton per kilo and square kilometer. And production is 21 and 1,000 metric ton per year. And this you can see the neck cage pen in the picture, and that is the species of rockfish. I show you some kind of history. Long time ago, we used for make a neck cage pen for wood, but this night is we make a development of the antique wave system that is more strong for wave. And then next to we introduced of the oyster aquaculture area is 7,000 hectare, and hanging system, some of our bottom system, and the production volume of 300,000 metric ton per year, 2020. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, only just 36 metric ton per hectare, but in the 2019 and 45 ton metric ton per hectare. And usually this is oyster culture and the method, the hanging or bottoms. And then in the under the picture, you can see the seed production, the oyster process. And next is the abalone aquaculture. Abalone is very expansive fisheries, and the culture area of 7,000 hectares. That aquaculture system in decade bottom. Production volume is 20,000 metric ton per year. Long time ago, the wheel development was the mass production for abalone. That is the picture is the processing of the aquaculture system, and seed production to May to November, and you can see the egg spawning and the sperm spawning, and the middle growing is is the December to October, and the main growing is 30 to 30 and 36 months for commercial side. Then that is I'm sorry, that is the seaweed process of the Korea, and for time in the culture is a seed of the labor, and that is transport to the shell, and then seeding to September, look like here, and then the four is growing in September, December, and 5 is the harvest December to March, and then the processing the dry the labor the processing. And next time though, we're into the about research and the research of the NIFS. We will focus on the three, and the first one is the eco-friendly aquaculture technology. And then we have three technology. There's smart aquaculture by automatic aquaculture system, or the second is the biofloc technology. That means the BFT. That is eco-friendly efficient shrimp aquaculture technologies. And third is the seaweed mass production by a new variety. And you can see it's in that case Japan, but it's all of the culture working by human power, but we'll change it, the system of diet supplier or monitoring system, and we collect all of the data. There are long time distance that we can monitoring in the naked Japan's state. There is some kind of picture that this is a naked Japan, and this is the diet supplier by automatical, and sonar sensor that is some kind of collect data for volume of a fish. And on the water drone is the check all of the naked pen and the condition. The other is this is the camera. The growth rate of a fish is calculated by this camera. And then this is all of data collected. This is smart fish farm management system. This data will we only just cell phone control all of these systems. And can see if this automatic diet supplier. You can see the fish diet. And the optimal diet supplier technology very important. Sometimes necessary, sometimes the remain. So we can monitoring all state of the fishes. Yeah, we can control and diet volume for feeding. And the other one is the fish growth major technology. You can see take a picture. After that, we grow the measure of the length of these fishes. Then when we know when is harvest time or separate time to make separate in the cages. And third is the water drone farm track technologies. Sometimes the cage pen that destroyed by some big power, or sometimes wave, and sometimes the some disease is some by death to fishes. That's very big problem. So we drone, and every time we can see the to fishes state. And therefore, in the cultural environment control technology, and usually we measure and the water temperature, because the water temperature is very important for the growth of fishes. And second is the dissolved the oxygen. Also, the fish need for oxygen for to live. And for the third in the pH, because it's very big, is important and environment factor. Next is inland aquaculture farm system. And this is inland culture is more easy compared with the naked Japan. Only just in house we can monitoring and management of all of the facilities. And then in this is aquaculture tank, we use a smart diet supply system. And other times we make a robot for monitoring of each tank. Also sometimes only the netbooks that we control our system by long distance. So this loom and that is the both of system control in this loom. Sometimes inland aquaculture farm, sometimes naked farm is very long distances. Yeah. Then all of the some data, each environment pack and the diet volume on some growth of the calculated data. After that, in this system, it's some this that we collect this is the system. And some more detail and the explain for video and the file after my presentation. Next time, as I will introduce the bioplug system. The bioplug is very complex is technology. And for example, bioplug is mainly composed by bioplankton, free and attractive bacteria, aggregated of particle, organic matter, and grazers such as the rotifers, the cellulite, and the plagiaris, and the protozoa. But I don't know understand it, this is the word. Very difficult to understand it, these technologies, but very simple and serious. And shrimp usually consume feed. After that, the fish make a pickle and on it the feed. And if the is organic, is assimilated by ammonia by heterotrophic bacteria. That is bacteria to grow up. After that, and the bacteria makers the bioplug formations. That this is bioplug formation to use by and feed for shrimp. And then the fishes also grow. That is the circulated is all over the energy. That system very important because no change is the water. And then we no supply is the other water for only just the same water and use every time. And this system, bioplug system, and you can see the very dirty water, but not is the dirty. That means the bioplug system living here. The fish shrimp is the grow of this system. In the Korean, we have a four season, spring and the summer and for the winter. The winter is very difficult to the grow up. But in Bangladesh, very warm area. Some shrimp aquaculture is very good condition to the area. And next, film. And we will introduce about the shrimp farming in desert. Our NIFS transport technology to Algeria, then Sahara Desert. First time we tried in 2010 in the, and then we began the challenge in 2011. And then we make us a new facility in the Sahara Desert. And now they have production of the shrimp and for consume. And then not only facility at the Korean government too, and the transport technology and the equipment and some bio-human technologies. That the first time in 2016, the maker this facility and transport technology. And now is we have Korean and Algeria have a good relationship. So. And next I will introduce the rubber. Rubber is very, very tasty good and seaweed. In these days, the K-food that the Korean rubber exports over $500 million until this year. And then with NIFS, it tries the labor new variety species for make a good, that means more high past or and then very big size and then more good taste. And then with a new variety application of 13, registered 17, that in Korea aquaculture farm using this species. And then next time I will introduce a high volume aquaculture species development technology. And today's in the bluefin tuna, Pacific bluefin tuna, aquaculture, and in aquaculture is very important because the two species, all of endangered species by IUCN. Now this is a bluefin tuna. You can see the very expensive. And we succeeded at the egg production in 2015. Then we first time in this fertilization egg. And then this is a process of the research. And we have to do injection hormone to hormone and tuner and the feeding every time and the spawning action monitoring. After that, in the collect in the fertilization egg and the check of the fertilization generation, and then transport our egg to the inland tank. And the Jeju Island is the base camp for some bluefin tuna aquaculture technologies. And then you can see this is a fertilization egg after hatcher to be a larvae, and this larvae grew up the juvenile, and the juvenile also to make an egg. But these times the very difficult technology, the mass production very difficult. Only just succeed in the lab, and we'll try the more good technology for mass productions. Next yield, maybe Bangladesh don't have yields there, but in this Korea, China, Japan, this is a very important species. Now we research about to make a post-sperm spawning and make an egg, fertilization egg. After that, we hatchery rearing. And you can see that after hatcher, they have a stage of the leptocephalus after 250 days after two beer glass seal. The glass is very expensive. 2012, that times the resource decreases. So only just one glass seal, $7. Very expensive state for aquaculture. Index is about $3 or $3, $4 one piece classic. After that, we success only just and the small size is production, but we will try to make mass production for some technologies. And then first time we succeeded the 2011 after 2016 to make a second generation. After that, we the control of all of the artificial yield stage, but we'll try to make mass production technology for yield. And next time, I will introduce the trending and the technology for aquaculture, that is breeding technology and feed technology and the vaccine technologies. The first time I will introduce the growth enhancement was the genetically improved olive powder and compare with the nature powder or culture powder. NIF is genetically improved powder about 43% very fast growth. And we now also not only just fast growth, we make more good shape and then more strong disease resistance. This is the process of the production and olive powder aquaculture. That each is this male, the maker sperm. After that, we storage technology for sperm. After that, and we prepare the sperm. After that, this is a female. And each is other to have the individual code number. After we make a fertilization, and then with washing the egg. After that, with the collected fertilization egg, and then we'll move to the microscope, and then calculated the fertilization rate. So, and then the next the video is the fertilization development stages. Only the 2 or 3 days there's the hatcher, and then they look like fishes shape. And next, after hatcher, this is the larvae stage development. After hatcher, they have a yolk, but its yolk is smaller. After that, its body is bigger. After that, about 1 month, and this look like a normal fish shape, but it's olive powder. After 1 month, that they will change, move their eyes or one side, and that is look like a olive powder shape. And then that is just process of the pisciculture process. Next time we'll introduce abalone the breeding technologies. And usually abalone is we have genetic breeding technology, and we're about 30% more past the growth of abalone in the technology. And so I will show you abalone aquaculture process. That is the other, and we and the research about this is a male and make a sperm, and this is a female to make uh, this is a spawning of a sperm. After that, this is the egg spawning, and then this is each is the sperm, each is male. The mature is individual. Yeah, and then the wheel is the which one is good for fast growth or good shape or and the good strong the resistance. This is a fertilization egg about 1.2 hour after and 2.5 hour and 5 hours, and then the development there's the small size and the abalone. and that look like abalone shape about 3 months, 1 year. After that, we produces 205 each individual adult abalone, and we can. This is a micro tag. We know each is the abalone is the code name, and we detected this micro tag, and we know which one it one. Also with and investment of their growth, and sometimes in the sampling the blood and the analysis of their DNA or some kind of their state of the and the conditions. And also DNA technology for the calculate which enzyme is important for growth, best growth, and that may this is the DNA analyzer for some abalone's enzymes. And next time I will introduce a diet. Korean has some kind of maker. We have some problem for the diet, and because and usually and a lot of aquaculture farm use and the low fish only just caught at the fish, frozen fish, but that is a very big problem because and in low fishes the increases environmental pollution in nearby fish ponds. And then next is the natural resource exploitation because and this is small size fish human not consume the small size but some of the fishes catch the small size fishes so we know that is a very difficult problem. In the third is the rising labor and equipment cost. That means that this is low fish or the moisture pellet that is difficult to adapt to the automatical in the aquaculture system. So extruded pellet is very good for some automatical system. And that you in now is the we hope to change this the diet. And this is aquaculture farm. Uh, and this is before the feeding and the picture, and this is the after feeding. That means the aquaculture diet that is the very problem for the pollution, water pollution for and after feeding. This water usually and is throughout our water or ocean, and so that is the very big problem pollution. And in this case, and the aquaculture farm uses this MP and moito pellet and low fish. But in the NIF tried to change the extruder pellet. And this machine and to make a extruder pellet machine. And machine factory the process of EP diet. First time all of the ingredient is the mixing this system after grinding and the system, and this is very high impressive for extrusion uh, system, and then in the dry machine, and then this is a coating by oil. This EP diet we make a floating type or sinking type. The buyer species fish we can the choice the which is the type of the uh, protein diet or sinking type. After that, in the cooling packing, after that, this EP diet we can store it about 3 months over, very long time. So we'll try to change it, the diet. And then next, I will introduce the vaccine development, Korea. And this is the, you can see this the bar in the use of antibiotics in PC. And the PC production, this line, the fish production is aquaculture fish production increase every year, but bio vaccine development, the is antibiotics using volume in the decreases. As Vibrio vaccine, that time is the decreases antibiotic. After that, tuberculosis is a vaccine and the oil-based vaccine, and then combination vaccine. By development of vaccine, the antivirus volume in the decreases. And the Korean in NIFS and try to make a vaccine, new vaccine. And in the process of the make a new vaccine, after development vaccine injection, after that we antibody analysis for weeks, and after that also artificial injection by disease origin. After 3 weeks after we'll analyze their detect, and then looks like the vaccine injection and the artificial infection system, and this is the vaccine and medicine. Though the vaccine is the story with video file I will show you after my presentation. So, and I will show you Korean aquaculture priority, and only very just a simple, only just one and page is last year the Aquaculture Industry Development Act is the that is the pathway by the Congress that we can and that after that the very big company enterprises invest in the aquaculture company. That means in these days only just very individual small size aquaculture farms were working in Korea. That means that the big investment is very difficult to. That also the permit of the company and the penetration in aquaculture industry, and also induction of the investment to aquaculture industry. So. And the next is the high tech smart aquaculture spread. In this day, the human working is maybe more difficult to in the future. So with all of our processing by the mechanic over the automatic mechanic system. And so with development of the smart technology relate with AI and ICT. Also, we also developed the propagation of the automatic aquaculture system, look like a diet supplier and the automatic system and the all of management system. On the next, also this use of technology, the province of in the local government, and they have new smart aquaculture cluster. So we now at the more big scale and the make new aquaculture industry. And then next is the eco-friendly disaster prevention aquaculture technology. That includes the management of aquaculture environmental. That means until now we use only just grow up of the fish, but from now we have to thinking about the environmental pollution, some control management of the water quality, and then also with some, and then we also and the mandatory of EP diet and the vaccine development and the breeding technology more important. So with the aquaculture is the industry will in the increases more development in Korea. So and but as you know, only just 50 years over 40 years ago, the Korean aquaculture almost nothing. So, and if you have a chance to the Bangladesh, some have a good chance for some cooperation system. That is we have some good relationship with the Bangladesh, the fishery and the institute or some kind of industry. So, and the MOF, Minister of Ocean and Fisheries, and the NIFS, National Institute of Fisheries Science, will be develop the fisheries science in the cooperation with your countries. Thank you. And then after my presentation, and the vaccine video file, and then the smart aquaculture file. Okay.
Yeah, actually, we have two videos. A vaccine takes almost 7 minutes. A smart farm takes 8 minutes. But as we are already late, 10 minutes delayed, so
I think it's important to show the videos. I think
okay, both of them.
If everyone's okay to just run a few minutes late, is it okay, everyone, if we can watch the videos? Since we don't get to go to Korea right now.
I
Okay.
think all are okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
Please
a
let's
show.
go for it.
next. Okay, let's go then.
And Dr. Kim, there's a number of questions in the chat box while we watch the videos, so we're going to
Yeah.
ask you to do some homework. We apologize.
So many questions.
Please push it. Share the video, please.
Share the video, please.
양식장에서 사용하는 수산용 백신은 반드시 정부에서 품목
So what
허가를
is important is that the vaccine should be approved by the government so that only safe products can be used and give confidence to consumers. Approval for aquaculture vaccine is granted by the NIFS. Manufacturer of the vaccine that wants to get the approval will submit the application to NIFS. Then NIFS will check whether this vaccine is suitable for the marine injection and decide whether or not to grant the approval. If you look at that process first, at the outdoor clinical trial, the field experiment is done and then the result is submitted to the Fisheries Disease Control Department. So you must pass those tests to get the approval. After that, when the vaccine is produced, only those with the officially confirmed efficacy can be sold in the market. So when the vaccine is successfully developed, it can be jabbed to fisheries. Around the world, there are 3 vaccination methods. First, what we use in Korea is the injection method. This allows an effective immune response with a small amount of vaccine, but you have to catch one fish at a time, so you have to have very good skill, and it puts a lot of stress on fish. Next is the immersion method. You diffuse the vaccine in the water and put the fish inside. This is good method for small fish that weigh less than 10 grams, but it requires a lot of vaccine. The last method is the oral method. This is the most ideal method for farm fish, but it is relatively less effective. So currently there are no oral vaccines available in Korea, but at NIFS they are currently working on the development of oral vaccines. Now I will introduce to you a safe and effective vaccination method used for olive flounders in Korea. So this is an olive flounder farm in Wando. You can see that this is a big sized fish farm. Inside the fish tank, you can see a lot of fish. They look very healthy. Before vaccination, we do the preliminary test and share information with the fisheries disease manager. We stop giving food to fish for 1 day to minimize stress and to maintain optimal body conditions. It means that you have to check the health condition of fish frequently to vaccinate them when they are in good health. If a fish that is carrying germs get inoculated, the disease can spread. There are things to be done before vaccination. First, before inoculating fish, the vaccine should be kept at room temperature overnight and mixed evenly. The optimal temperature of the vaccine is between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Fish are inoculated when they are least stressed and in good condition, and feeding is stopped for 1 to 2 days before and after inoculation. Inside the tank, a partition is set to gather fish into one section. This is to separate the vaccinated one and those that needs to be vaccinated. Here you see this gentleman very busy inside a water tank. He is the official quarantine watchman. You are watching the vaccination against bacterial diseases that can occur in olive flounders. Once vaccinated, macrophage, which is the immune cell, eat up antigens. Here, the decomposed antigen and data are transmitted to the T lymphocyte. Then the T lymphocyte delivers the processed antigen information back to B lymphocyte. The lymphocyte turns it into a memory cell and keep it alive for a long time. At this point, if the pathogen enters through the gill or wounds, the memory cell promotes other cellular immune response to remove the pathogen. Now, one fish is caught at a time to jab them properly. But before that, you have to remember this. First, hands, gloves, and workstation should be sanitized, and glass tubes and consumables need to be sterilized. Also, you need to pay close attention to the location of the jabbing. Olive flounder mainly get it injected in their abnormal cavity. To minimize tissue damage, the angle between the fish and the syringe should be 40 to 50 degrees, and you have to divide the abdominal cavity into three sections and then jab the vaccine at the intersection of the tail and the pelvic fin. Here you can see this man stopping before giving the jab. The needle should be replaced very often. It is best to change the needle after inoculating about 150 to 200 fish. In case of the olive flounder, 4 to 5 millimeter needles are used. And if you use the same needle many times, the tip could be bent and it can wound the fish. Now, vaccinated fish would be able to enjoy a healthy aquaculture life, but follow-up management is also very important. First, syringes and workbench should be cleaned up and dried up. Second, once opened up, the vaccine should be consumed within 12 hours or discarded because of the risk of contamination. Third, do not feed the fish for about 2 days to minimize stress. At NIFS is doing a lot of research to automate the vaccination for aquaculture in Korea. Developed in 2012, this automatic vaccination system is very good method to inoculate flat-shaped fish species like olive flounder. Recently, a small bag-sized vaccination device was developed. This is easy to carry around and it has 4 syringes attached to one vaccination machine. It is convenient to automatically calculate the number of vaccinated fish. Also, at NIFS, it has developed a vaccination program that can prevent infectious diseases from different stages of aquaculture production. Currently, it also has the vaccines for olive flounder only, but it is planning to expand the vaccine for other fish species that are produced through the net cage. At NIFS, we are putting a lot of efforts to develop vaccines to prevent fish diseases. In the future, we will continue to work hard to distribute and develop vaccines that are essential to the aquaculture farms and contribute to the aquaculture industry of Korea.
사람이 아닌 인공지능이
Time will come soon when AI will manage a fish farm instead of humans. Let's take a look at how our aquaculture industry would change in the future. Korea is ranked the first in terms of per capita fish consumption, which is about 58.4 kilograms per year per person. As such, the importance of fisheries resources is especially great in Korea. However, with the falling number of fishermen as well as aging demographics, the labor force is dwindling. At the same time, unpredictable climate change is leading to a decrease in fisheries resources, which is becoming a challenge. To overcome such a challenge, major countries around the world, including the US, the Netherlands, China, and the UK, are developing smart aquaculture technologies that apply advanced technologies. Korea's National Institute of Fisheries Science, in short NIFS, is also in the race for developing aquaculture technologies. NIFS has developed smart technologies appropriate for the Korean aquaculture environment and applies such technologies to the field. Hello. Hello to you too. I'm a YouTuber with the channel named Desi. Welcome. I am Kim Seok-tae, working as a researcher at the National Institute of Fisheries Science, NIFS. Today, I'm here to learn more about the smart inland fish farming. What is smart fish farming? Smart fish farming or smart aquaculture is based on Industry 4.0 technologies that are applied to fish farms so as to ensure efficient and eco-friendly fish farming. Technologies such as Internet of Things, ICT, Big Data, and AI are used to automate systems used by the aquaculture industry. Historically, the aquaculture industry has been labor intensive, but with smart fish farming, the industry would become a knowledge industry that is capital and technology intensive. Smart aquaculture connects fish farming processes to AI so as to make optimal decisions. I really want to take a look at the smart fish farm firsthand. Would it be possible? Yes, of course, please follow me. Yay, here we go. I finally get to see the fish farm in action. Oh my god. Welcome, this is our smart fish farm under the management of our Inland Aquaculture Research Center. What you see here is a smart aquaculture management system that we developed. You mean this is what controls the entire fish farm here? Wow, this is truly smart. Yes, of course, this is why it is called smart aquaculture. From information about fish at the farm, such as species in each water tank, stocking date, and average fish weight, to information about fish farming environment such as temperature, water level, dissolved oxygen, and pH, everything can be checked and controlled easily with this control device. Sir, how do you check the temperature then? Do you actually put your hands in the water and check the temperature? Oh no, of course not. All right, you wouldn't do that, right? There are sensors installed in each water tank to check the temperature, dissolved oxygen, and pH level. Measurements are taken and sent to the system in real time. By the way, sir, there is something that catches my eye. What is this rail used for? This rail is feeding device that dispenses the diet or fish feed to each water tank. With this control system, you can make a setting for each water tank. When you push this start button, you will see that fish diet is being supplied to each water tank. Just for today's demonstration, I will select this particular water tank and set the diet at 200 grams. But it says that the maximum is 2,000 grams. Oh yes, you can set the diet up to 2,000 grams. Then you hit the start button to see the diet being supplied to water tank. Let me try. I will give 200 grams to give the feed to the fish. Smart aquaculture technology enables automatic fish feeding with this intelligent feeding device. You can set up feeding time and the quantity to automatically feed the fish at a desired time. In the future, fish characteristics and farming condition changes would be considered to calculate the feed quantity automatically to feed the fish the right amount, which will be realized through AI technologies. Sir, what manages and controls all this information and systems? We developed an integrated control system for that. We do have a separate control room. Oh, I see. There is a separate room for this integrated control. Can I go there too? Sure, please follow me. Here we go. This way, please. In this smart aquaculture control room, we have remote monitoring and control devices that allow us to monitor and control the current status and farming conditions. With this integrated control system, we can enable automatic fish feeding, CCTV monitoring, temperature and water quality control. This is how we make aquaculture more efficient. Can we see such smart aquaculture technologies in action across Korea? It would be nice, but we are still in the early days of smart fish farming. Now about the marine culture. Our National Institute of Fisheries Science applied smart aquaculture technologies to marine culture. So as for fishermen to control their farms remotely, we successfully developed a smart control system to manage fish farms. The most noticeable feature of the system is that you can manage the entire farm by simply downloading an application on your tablet PC or smartphone. Unlike inland fish farming, marine culture is exposed to the outside environment. Thus, sensors are used to measure water temperature, salinity, dissolved oxygen to be shared with fishermen along with other measurements such as wind direction, air pressure, precipitation, and weather forecast. From 2016 through this application, user can set feeding time and quantity, switch between automatic and manual mode, adjust feed supply, speed, among others. Automatic diet feeding is possible with the system in place. In addition, CCTVs are used to capture underwater images and take security footages, which make remote monitoring possible. This smart fish farm control system can be realized just with measurement and network devices. Thus, it is easy to apply smart fish farming technologies. This is why we are seeing an increasing number of fishermen using these smart aquaculture technologies. I can easily guess that smart fish farming will be adopted by many more in the future. Is there any manual or know-how for managing smart fish farms? We are at a stage of laying the foundation for making our fish farming smarter through our smart technologies. Sensors collect fish farming data, and once sufficient data is collected, such data would be studied by AI so as to develop a learning model. This is our primary goal, and afterwards, our ultimate goal is to apply such developed AI technologies to all the aquaculture farms across Korea. Through the convergence of ICTs and Internet of Things, the era of smart fish farming has begun. Large-scale farming facilities, processing and logistics facilities, research centers, and human resource development organizations would come together to lay the foundation for industrializing smart aquaculture technologies.